Yeah, I'm glad we can make this time work for both of us. How are you feeling today?
I've been anxious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I know we talked on the phone last week about getting you set up to see me, just because of some concerns that you're having that you did mention were making you anxious. So I was just seeing if you'd be cool just elaborating on that a little bit.
Yeah. Um, well, so I started. I was in the hospital for an accident, a bike accident, and I got hooked on. They gave me some opiate painkillers. Got hooked.
Yeah.
Um, I like. I stopped, and then I like. It's kind of like off and on for the last like almost 2 years.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
and but then it was, I guess I don't know if it was like stress from quarantine or whatever. I just have resort. I kind of gotten worse, and then I ended up, I've been taking mostly prescription painkillers, but getting them from like random people, and ended up I've like in the last few months I started shooting up heroin.
Yeah.
And now I got like 6 sores from that.
Okay. Yeah. So first of all, I just want to really like normalize this for you. You're really not alone in that experience of having an injury, taking something that was prescribed to you, and it's just addictive in nature. What they're giving you. So I just want to help normalize that. And then also, just to touch up on the sores that you mentioned, have you had anyone look at them? Like, have you gone to the doctor for it, or?
No.
Okay.
It's like, I don't want to, like, I started, like, I'm, like, always wearing, like, long sleeves and stuff, like, because I'm just, like, petrified that, my work would find out.
Oh, yeah,
or
sure.
my clients, like, shit.
Yeah, oh, for sure, definitely.
Anybody would find out, like, even if it's someone who's sworn by confidentiality, like, I'm just...
Yeah.
Just, like, yeah, it's obviously a serious issue that I wanted to get, but
Yeah, so do you feel like the sores, you're feeling anxious about them because you don't want people to see them, or you're worried that they're infected, or maybe both?
Well, both.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they're not that bad. I don't think they're infected. I wouldn't know. I'm just mainly like, it's like, the fact that I have sores is concerning, and the fact that,
Yeah, and if people saw them, the reaction or the questions that they might ask you could be anxiety inducing for sure. So I wanted to talk to you about, there's a treatment method that's called harm reduction, and one of the aspects of it is just literally like what it sounds like reducing the harm. So in this instance, it would be that if you do have sores, that you know that they're not infected and that they're going to be taken care of, so it doesn't turn into something bigger, like having to go to the hospital or something like that. So there's a place around here called the Steady Collective, and it's like completely anonymous. They hand out lots of supplies to folks to help clean their wounds. I just saw on their Instagram actually yesterday that they were posting about it. They hand out like tea tree oil and like bandages and all this kind of stuff. That way you have the supplies that you need to clean it at home.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I don't know if that's something that you'd be interested in. I'm happy to write the name of their organization down for you.
Yeah, sure. You said it's Steady Collective.
The Steady Collective. Yep. And I have a pen if you want to do that. Yeah, of course. And I think obviously there's many aspects to what you've got going on, but since you mentioned it, I just thought like preventing any physical illness from it could be a good place to start. So I want to talk to you. So you said you came in because of the sores. And I'm kind of interested where you're at in terms of like, are you wanting to quit, or are you just wanting to make sure you don't get the sores anymore. I'm just kind of like, I want to see like where you're at in terms of your use. Like in terms of like wanting to quit or use differently or, you know.
I mean, ideally I would like to quit.
Okay.
I mean, I've tried it before.
Yeah.
I mean, I've gone to AA.
Okay.
And pretended that my opiate use is alcoholism, just because it's not as stigmatized.
Sure.
and
Yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah, I figured if someone saw me at an AA meeting, the client saw me at it, that wouldn't be the end of the world. But
yeah, it makes a lot of sense that you did that.
Yeah. So, but I mean, that's maybe like I'd like to quit. I don't know if I had the right sources of support. If I would be able, I haven't really had the right source of support, I guess.
Okay.
I mean, so to answer your question, yes, ideally, I would love to not be dependent on it.
Okay. Sure. You just haven't found the right tools to get to that point, it sounds like, or the right resources, or is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess, and I mean, this knowing just the Steady Collective, the needle exchange.
Yeah. Yep. So they're syringe services program, so they can
syringe services.
Yeah, so they can provide clean needles. So the difference is it's not an exchange, so you do not need to bring back any used needles, which is nice because it reduces that barrier. Because some folks can't keep track of them, you know, or they want to dispose of them immediately. So you don't need to bring back any used needles to get new ones.
Yeah.
So you get clean needles. They can give you sterile water. Like I was saying, the tea tree oil, stuff for wounds. They have Narcan and or naloxone if you're ever concerned about that aspect as well. And they do also have folks there that you know, they themselves have taken some time to navigate what recovery means to them. Like, does recovery mean having to be completely sober? And abstain from all use, or does recovery mean using the substance in a way that doesn't prevent you from living like a life that you feel is like happy and productive? Because some people can, right? Some people have to quit altogether, and some people don't.
Like even like opiates?
Yeah, even opiates. Yeah, and it depends. It depends on the person. I think it depends how much they're using, and it's because it's a personal decision, right? Like, it's your quality of life. It's not the quality of life that I think you should have, or any of your friends think you should have. It's what you think you should have.
Yeah.
So it really lets you sort of be in charge of how you feel like things should look like in your life. And the idea is to like I was saying, to reduce the harm. So for some folks, that means maybe using safer. So like using with Narcan nearby, or making sure that they can clean their wounds. And then for other folks, it might be reducing their use. So if it's like getting too expensive and they're having to get it in ways that they don't really feel comfortable with, stuff like that. Like you were saying, like maybe like buying it from people you're not sure about, like just like calculating your risks, right? And is this a risk that I feel comfortable taking or not? And that's some of the premises.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's good to know that these resources are out there. I mean, I guess I've done like some Googling, but even that, it's like I just get a little scared about.
Yeah.
Like just confidentiality is
for sure
huge to me.
Yes, and that's something that that is something that's always safe here with me. I will never break your confidentiality unless I think you're really gonna hurt yourself or somebody else. But in this scenario, this would not be anything that I would ever need to share with anyone.
Okay.
Yeah, so you don't need to worry about that. So any research that we do in here, we can do like on my work computer, It will have no ties to you at all, so you don't need to worry about like your search history on your computer, anything. So like I want you to know this is a safe space. So if there is an aspect of harm reduction or any other treatment modality that you're interested in and want to research it, that we can do that in here. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess, I mean, for some people, even with opiates, they can like use it in moderation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you're gonna hear different answers from different people, but from like a harm reduction standpoint, which is the intervention that I use with my clients, yes, you can. You kind of hear this method being used a lot with folks who drink, like reducing down on their drinking, or maybe, excluding liquor and only drinking beer. But we can use some of those same tactics with opioid use. So maybe avoiding one type of opioid, like you were saying that you've gotten more anxious since you've started injecting it. So like that could be a choice point that we consider. Is that something that you want to keep doing, or did it feel safer and more manageable when you were just using the pills? Stuff like that. You don't need to answer that right now.
Okay.
But those are just the types of things that we can think about. Does that make sense?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a new approach to me.
It is. It is. Yeah, it's new.
I don't know why it's not like. I mean, like obviously, I didn't go to NA. I went to AA. So, but it just seems like they're always like, oh, you have to.
Yes.
Stop completely, or else you. Whatever.
Yeah. Yes, very like abstinence based, and there's also that stigma that if you do have some sort of setback, that you're going to be kicked out and you're going to lose your support people. And so that's something that you'll never have to worry about here, whether you feel like you're having a success or whether you feel like you're experiencing some kind of setback. We'll do our work just the same. I'm never going to judge you for the decisions that you've made. I feel like everyone makes decisions for a reason. It serves some purpose, some kind of coping tool. Whether it's the best one we have to use or not, that's something that we can explore. But yeah, so I'll never greet you with judgment when you're in this space.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that mentality because, it was a little bit. I don't know. I didn't feel judged at AA, but I felt like it was just very prescriptive, and it just like knowing that like. I mean, I can. There are ways to do it safely, and I don't know if it would work. I don't know, like, what do you think it might work for? Yeah, I guess it's hard to say if it would work for me to like, if it makes sense for me to try to moderate my use or not.
Yeah, and so I'm hearing you go back and forth a little bit, which is completely normal. I was saying like. Maybe I can be smarter about my use, but then at the beginning you did say that you would maybe like to quit altogether at some point.
Yeah.
And we can explore which feels like a better option for you, or maybe like that can be a longer term goal, but in the meantime we can start using more safely. It's also really normal to experience some of that back and forth, right? Like even something as simple as like trying to change our eating habits. Like we go back and forth, right? Like it's not as easy as they make it sound when you like go on a diet or go to AA or something like that. Like they make it sound like just follow these 12 steps and you'll be fine. But we know in real life it's not always like that. So there's gonna be days where this feels easier, and there's gonna be days where this feels hard. So that's why there's some grace and some wiggle room with that it's not a one size fits all, and that there are ways we can still make good decisions along the way, whether using or not. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I guess it's hard to. I'm like, my mind's just going into like, whoa, is this gonna work for me? Like, shoot, like I never really even like thought. So I'm like a little bit like, kind of like overwhelmed with kind of spinning. My head's spinning
Sure.
about all this information, which is it's reassuring. It's also just it's a lot to take in.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, like, you know, this isn't something we have to figure out today. It's just something that I wanted to introduce to you, that you can start thinking about